And with coffee before you put your ears in. Thank you. When you park opposite to each other, lack of parking. You're not allowed to park on the grass because you get stuck. If words, and the last word is spin. You wouldn't know that unless you were born in the 70s or sort of like listen to. I think it's 90s, 80s, 90s. I don't know. Music. Anyway, so you can't hear me, can you, Sam? No. I've said this loads of times, but I'm going to go right back to the beginning because it'll kind of illustrate. So you're going to get a bit bored, but never mind. So when we were younger, okay, first of all, let's explain why I'm talking about this, because I keep having dreams about my mum. I keep having dreams that she's come back to the house. It's almost like she's gone away for a bit and she's come back, and that's the kind of dreams I get. I don't know whether that's normal or what, but that's what I'm dreaming about. And it's like I'm showing her. I want to show the house. I want to show her what we've done to the house and everything. So that's what I'm going to be talking about, and it's my ethic, my work ethic. Work to live, not live to work. Because it really sort of brings it home. The more I, because of the dreams and stuff, it's like really sort of brought it home to me how important that is to me anyway. Because I just think, you can waste your whole life on the never, on the tomorrow promises that will never arrive. See, when we were younger, we moved to Tamworth in sort of like the late 70s, and then my stepdad sort of moved in, and I remember I don't think he decorated any of the other rooms. He decorated the front room, and we had mirrors on the wall, and a stereo on the opposite side. They had like this cupboard in the front room, and they knocked it through and used it like a music room, if you will, and the speakers on either side. I remember doing that, and it had like this like metallic wallpaper, and in that part of the cupboard, part of the room, and as I say, on the other side was mirrors, but it never got finished. And I wonder if it's because he couldn't cut the mirror tiles, who knows, but it never got finished. Anyway, so we lived there for quite a while, at least 3 or 4 years. I honestly can't remember. We lived there for a long time, and it was a council place, and then we finally got a private place on the other side of town. And I do think those rooms got decorated. It took a while, and I do remember it being reasonably warm because it had storage heaters. It was a place that didn't have central heating, it just had storage heaters. So, because central heating was quite a new thing really for older houses. Older houses didn't really have them, so they had these storage heaters. Anyway, it was tough because I remember eating just potato after lunchtime. Because I used to go home for lunch, have my chips, go back, and then fart throughout the classes, and teachers used to kick me out and everything. It was embarrassing, really, really embarrassing. And but things were starting to get a little bit better. You know, we didn't have a lot of money. They did spend a lot of money on the house and what have you. But things were getting better. We had a TV, because at the other house we had a black and white TV for years, a little black and white portable. Again, in those days, in the 70s, not many people. I mean, we did have a colour TV at the other flat, but I don't know where that come from. I don't know whether that was part of the flat or what. It was a very weird sort of setup. We lived in Inkerman Street in Wolverhampton, and I remember that the TV was on one side and they had this little switch on the other side of the flat which turned the telly over, and we could turn the telly over from one ITV station to another, and sometimes who insisted on watching sports and our swap shop, and I was thinking, this is our TV, but he kept turning it over and he insisted, and like basically bullied me to turn it over, and I'd sit there and watch sports because he'd kick up a fuss, say, where's my dad's TV, that type of thing. Anyway, it was starting to pick up. We had a colour TV and what have you, and you know, things were starting to pick up. And then they moved to this house that my stepdad's in now, and the reality is it was way too much out of their reach. It was, I won't say it was derelict, there was a lot of work that needed doing to it. The windows were rotten because they were wooden windows. There was a lot of plumbing that needed sorting out, and it was a very, very cold, damp house. I knew he was going to do that. He'd been tailgating me for ages. And the thing is, we really suffered for it. They had, when they moved in, there was these like little thin, really, really paper thin carpet tiles on the floor. There was a little bit of work done over the years. They had the walls replastered because the walls were in such a dire, they just skimmed just to tidy them up because the walls were really bad. They removed a shower in the bedroom because there was a shower in one of the bedrooms. Not an ensuite, just literally a shower in the corner of the room. So they removed that and the sink, and they did do a little bit of work. There was never ever any carpet in that house, and I don't understand why. I don't fully understand why, but what I do know is that while I lived there, my mum never really had much money. Well, it didn't seem like they had a lot of money. It seemed like they were putting all their money into the house and whatever, and she'd pinch like bits of coffee and milk, powdered milk. We lived on powdered milk, so pinching coffee and powdered milk and sugar from her work, because she was a cook, and that's how we lived. We didn't have anything. I mean, I remember Christmas, we'd go around all these houses, see all these kids having these fancy toys, and well, we didn't have anything. A couple of times we did, but not many. I mean, there was probably about 2, maybe 3 years in the whole of my life that I can remember where I was actually really shocked about what we had. And it's not about that, it was about the standard of life itself. I'd rather have just not had all that and just had some better food. We had, it was almost like we were eating scraps half the time. Anyway, the whole point of this is, my mum, for years, the reason why there was no carpet on the floor is because my mum wanted expensive carpet. She had very expensive taste. If she went out and bought clothes, she wouldn't spend, I don't know, 20 quid on a dress. She'd spend maybe £200-300 on a dress, wear it a couple of times, and that's it. My mum had very, very expensive taste. And when it come to the carpeting, because they had all the walls skimmed, they did start doing all the window frames and stuff, but never got finished. So that was my stepdad. He never ever finished anything, never. And they ripped up all the carpet. So they did that just after I moved out, and I moved out about 30 years ago. So for 30 years they never had carpet down. Oh, we're going to get this nice wool carpet. It's not cheap, but it's going to look really, really nice. And that was all it ever was. It was, we're going to do. And that's my point of the video. It's like living your whole life on the promise of tomorrow is a complete waste, because she never ever saw the house finished. She could have stayed in the house. She could have stayed in a house we originally moved to, and done that place up. All right, it wasn't a big house or anything like that. It was a standard 3-bed house with a box room. But we could have lived there, very, very comfortable, eat well, and just enjoyed life, not waiting on a never. And that's basically what she did. She died in a very cold, uncarpeted, bare room. She had hardly any furniture in there. She had a wardrobe and a couple of bedside cabinets. No carpet, no real fancy curtain. She had curtains up, but it was like, I don't know, the house was always cold. Now, I do believe that my stepdad manipulated my mum in the cold. I think, especially in the later years, he insisted on, I think he just squirreled his money away. There's no way you can save up 70 grand in just a few years. No way. That's my mum's money. But it's really frustrating because I can't prove any of that. And the thing is, I wouldn't have known unless I moved in. Now here's another thing as well, moving in. You could say I made a mistake in doing that. I spent a lot of money doing up the house. So we were there for about 3 months. And in that time, well, we were there for the first 3 months, we were there on and off. And I was decorating, I painted the place. All I did was just give it a lick of paint. I mean, the whole place was painted in one colour, and I don't know why they did that, but that's their taste, it's what they liked. But it was all painted in one colour, and the problem was, my stepdad's a filthy sod, and he doesn't wash his hands or anything, so everything went black. Handles, everything, the walls, wherever he touched, went black. And so, having a daffodil yellow everywhere and filthy hands is just not a good match. So, you alright? You alright? Oh, she can't hear a word I'm saying. So, yeah, we were there for the first 3 months on and off, and I was decorating the place, and I managed to paint the entire upstairs and carpet the entire upstairs. Not expensive carpet. It doesn't have to be expensive carpet as long as it's nice carpet, and you're not. I would rather have a worn down old carpet than just bare floorboards with bits of paint all over them. So that's what we did. We put cheap carpet down, and you know, the thing is, all right, it's only cheap carpet, but as long as you look after it, it's fine. You know, yeah, it might get a bit trodden down, but it's fine. Lasts for about 5 years. Expensive carpet, looks nice, can last for even more years, but you know, what's the point in doing that if you can't afford to? There's no point in saving up. But then you've got to be prepared for tomorrow. That's the other thing as well, you see. It's all good and very well saying, oh, you know, live for today and all this lot, but you have got to be prepared for tomorrow. And if we hadn't have moved into the house, if we hadn't spent all that money, if we hadn't done all that, which a part of it is thinking, oh, what a waste, because I mean, it's just going to go to rot the houses, because there's no heating in there. We go in there, honestly, I kid you not, I've been in that house and it's been warmer outside than it has been inside. You know, the temperature's been about 8 degrees outside. It's been like 4 degrees in the house. Yeah, I'm not joking, that is how it is. Anyway, so, you know, you could say, well, we wasted all that money, wasted our time, it was all just pointless, but what it did do was prompt us to buying the flat, because over the course of time, I started to not trust my stepdad. There were so many conflicting things he said about money and stuff like that. I mean, for a start, when we said, yeah, we'll move in, we'll help you out, we'll do whatever, my plan was to convert one of the rooms into a bedroom for him instead of him sleeping in the front. But he insisted he slept in the front because it's warmer, and I'm thinking, well, you like the cold. See, there's the conflict. It's not about I like the cold. It's not about that. It's just about money. That's all it's about. All he wants to do is squirrel away his money for whatever reason. I do not know. I personally think he can give it all to his kids. His kids can remember him for his money. Nothing else. His kids will not remember him for anything else but for money. That's all it'll be. And I think what a sad waste of life. But anyway, so I started to not trust him because there was so many things that were conflicting. I mean, when we discussed with him, we said, right, you know, we'll do all this for you, but I want heating on. That is the only thing I ask for, is heating. I cannot live without heat, and it's got to be on properly, not this like little heaters or anything like that. Proper heating. The radiators have got to be on. But he would put the when he first started, the radiators were set at 40 degrees. 40 degrees. When I say that, you see, this is the thing. I didn't fully understand this, but he set it by the boiler, not the thermostat. So you probably know what I'm talking about, but I didn't understand this because on ours you set it all by the thermostat. You think, okay, how warm do I want it? I want it 20 degrees. I have our temperature on about 23 degrees because I like it warm. I don't like a cold place. So I have the heating set at 23 degrees while we're up and about and doing stuff. At night time I turn it off. It's as simple as that. I'm too hot at night. So no, but when he said he says, oh, we'll turn it up to 35. And I went, sure, that seems a bit warm. Because he was turning up that's how hot the radiators get, 35 degrees. See, I didn't realise our radiators are set to whatever temperature it is on the boiler. There's no temperature gauge. It's just hot. It's as simple as that. When I say that, you can't touch the radiators when they're on because they're hot. That's how they're designed. Whereas like his, there's barely any heat coming off them. So you know, it was pointless. And I said, okay, these radiators aren't getting hot. They said, oh, they've got to be bled. They've got to be. And I bled them all. Oh no, they need balancing. So we had them balanced, and it started to get warm. Then he turned them back down again. That was his, because he just, and all he did was the smart meter. It was you have different colour lights. You've got green, amber, and red. As soon as he went to amber, that was it. Oh no, it's on amber. What you got running? What you got running? And in the end, I just couldn't live like that. So you could say to yourself, well, it was a waste. But the thing is, he had all this money, and I'm thinking, you've got all that money in the bank, and yet you won't put the heating on. I mean, the thing is, eventually he's going to need round-the-clock care, and the worst thing is, unless he just pops his clogs out the blue, he's going to need round-the-clock care. And the thing is, it's almost like he'd rather spend his money on that than spend his money on his family, who are willing to look after him and help him out. And that's the part that I find very annoying. You're right. You can't hear a word I'm saying. He's got headphones in. So, when we were talking about the house and stuff, we did all the wills, and it says residual effects, or I can't remember. There was something. The word was residual. Me and my sister basically get the residual remaining, and he said, well, it's basically the house and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, what's residual? Why use that term? Maybe it's just a legal term. You know, half the house, but before my mum passed away, she was really upset, saying he's got power of attorney. I think he sold a house underneath me, and I just thought, I don't trust him. I did check the land registry, and according to the land registry, it's still registered under their names. But would that be the case if he's released the equity? I don't know. I don't know how that works. But you can release the equity, not pay anything back, and whoever you release the equity to owns the place. So basically, me and my sister would get nothing. His kids would get all his money, and we'd get nothing. And that's how I started to think. And I thought, we could come unstuck here. If we're living in this house, I've got to make sure I'm covered. Now, at first, I was thinking, I'll keep renting the place. And I thought, why am I doing that? Why am I renting the place? So we'll buy it. And that's what we decided to do. That's why I decided to buy the place. But if I hadn't have done that, we would not be in the position we're in now. It's pointless trying to work in snow. And I know you can know, and I know you can get snow in February and stuff like that, but colds and stuff like that. You know, it just seemed the thing to do. Just have 3 weeks off. So we were living comfortably, and you know, luckily our mortgage isn't that much more than the rent. So, you know, if we're working for another 5-6 years, we'd be paying dead money out onto rent, and then who knows what the future holds for us. Because, you know, I could have a flat, you know, be an OAP in a flat and have the flat paid for me, or I could be OAP and be kicked out because the government decides, no, we're not going to do that anymore. Do you know what I mean? You don't know how things are going to go. So you do have to prepare for the future, but you've got to live. You've got to live for tomorrow. You can't go on this never thinking. It's like, I want to decorate the flat. I want to put the kitchen in the flat and put a new bathroom in and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to say, oh, I'm not decorating the bathroom and kitchen because I want to wait till I can put a new kitchen in. I am going to paint and decorate the kitchen and bathroom. I'm going to do it cheaply. I'm going to do it to my budget for now, because even though in a few years time it might be redone, it doesn't matter, because it means then at least then I'm not living in a shithole on the never, and that's basically what some people do. They live on this sort of never, you know, well, I intend to do this, I intend to do that, and I'm in the wrong lane. It's a bit of an awkward one, this. So I always go on, because this road continues straight on, but it's the third exit past 12 o'clock. So because I'm going straight on, I go in the left lane. I've always been taught you're going straight on. If you're continuing on the road, then it's the left lane. Anyway, sorry about that, I'm digressing. But I think that's the whole point of this video is like, yes, be prepared for the tomorrow, but live for today. And the other reason why I've prompted for doing this is because I've been watching Will's whereabouts, and so many people have been saying to him, oh, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't do this. I'm thinking, if you've got the opportunity to do something, do it. You don't know what's going to happen. Yes, you don't know. If you don't know what he's a chap who's been good doing car camping, and he built himself a camper van out of I don't know what van it was, a big van, basically a white van, and he also built a camper van out of an ex-Amazon van. And people say, oh, I don't know why you're doing all that. Well, it's all experience. It's all down to experience. He had this Amazon van that had a bottle of piss in there. It was disgusting. It was covered in water. It was mouldy. Bits were missing, rusty. And he's basically spent a year doing this van up and making a van out of it. And it looks really good inside. Because his plan was to make these vans, build them. And so he spends a whole year doing this and putting it all on YouTube and what have you. And everyone's saying, I don't know why you're bothering. Well, it's all down to experience. Alright, it's costing him an absolute fortune. And you could go out and probably buy 2 vans for the price he's paid. Well, for the money he's paid out on this, but it's the experience of doing it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, he's gone out there and he's learned how to do all this stuff. And he's built this camper van. He raffled it off in the end, and somebody in Scotland won it. He's down in London and he's driving this van all the way to Glasgow to deliver this van. And oh, I really hope I've got the keys. I really hope I've got the keys. So, you know, and he says, I think he wants to go to the States. He wants to go abroad to the States and go on a big trip. So he's thinking of raffling off his own camper van, his first one that he built, or selling it. He said there's a bit of work that needs to do to it. There's a few dings and dents and what have you. And the bodywork is fine. It's just a bit scratched and what have you. It's been lived in basically. Needs a deep clean, all that kind of stuff. And he says, well, should I raffle it? Or he's asked his viewers, should he raffle it? I think he should raffle it, because the thing is, it's like if you follow that show, if you follow his channel, then you know it's a bit of memory, isn't it? You know, you could probably even sell it back to him when he comes back to the States, from the States. But people are saying, oh, I wouldn't go to the United States right now. Well, it's like that's another thing. Oh, well, I'll do it when everything's all okay. It could get worse. You know what I mean? He could go to the States and have a great time, or he could go to the States and be a complete disaster. Who knows? The thing is, you could say, well, I'll wait until things are better in the world, and the thing is, it might not. It might just get worse and worse and worse, and he's lost his opportunity. And that's the thing. It's all about taking the opportunity, taking those risks. I guess you could say that about me. You know, I didn't take much of a risk when I went self-employed, but when I started the business, and I did take risks. I didn't know what I was doing in business. You know, I know a little bit about gardening, obviously, because I've done it for years. But you know, I can't stress enough. People say, "Have you got any qualifications?" No, not really. Not really. The qualifications I've got are pointless. It's like, yeah, I went to Rodbaston, but it teaches you nothing about business. It doesn't teach you how to mow a lawn. I mean, I learned how to mow a lawn by watching YouTube, by watching Emerald Brent. I tell you what, it's crazy. They don't do this now. It's a shame, because there's so many people on YouTube doing gardening channels and stuff like that, but it's like they're more like vlogs and stuff like that. Whereas like people weren't saying, oh, this is what you've got to do, this is what you've got to buy, this is promoted by this. Oh, I like using these tools. It wasn't about that. It was all just like literally just filming you out work. No, half the time there weren't even any talking. It was just like, oh, this is what I'm doing, and a bit of music in the background, and that's what it was. And Emerald Bread, I remember him mowing this lawn with I don't know what he used. I think he must have used a roller mower. But one of the things he did, which I never used to do, was you go up and down, you do stripes, and then you do a circuit around the edge. You know, you go around the edge of the lawn, the circumference, and I never used to do that. And I thought, oh, what a good idea, because as you turn, you cause turn marks, but you go around the circumference and it gets rid of all that. And it's silly things like that, you know. But as I say, they don't teach you that at any sort of college or anything like that. This place has changed so much. I'm lost. I don't know where I'm going. But there it is. Gate's locked. Okay. Oh, them ones are. I really hope I've got the keys. So yeah, the risk I took was I didn't really know what I was doing, and I bought a lot of stuff, and life was easy in one respect when you got no work, but you got no money, so you can't do anything. And the question is, have I got the key? And the answer is yes. Right, I'm gonna go. I'll see you in another one.